Hello, everyone. How are you all doing today? Welcome to the Well-Rounded Counselor podcast. I'm your host, Katrina Marie, and I am there to help you as a career changer elevate your skill sets to become an amazing college counselor so that you get hired in premium international schools. And so if you are new to my world, welcome. Welcome to all of you who have been listening to me and following me for some time. Today, you're in for a wonderful new episode, and apologies, have not had the opportunity to post in a long time. So this episode is long overdue, but it's so well worth it. And today you're going to get some amazing pieces of wisdom that you didn't know that you actually needed, especially as we're going into a new season of hiring in international schools. I felt like this topic was extremely important to talk about. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about the 10 things that you can do now to help you get premium international school jobs like as early as next week if you apply some of these things. So I just want to tell you guys that the reason why this is so important and why I want to talk about this is because I know results don't take time. So I stopped thinking that it was going to take me a long time to create results, and I realized that it all came down to me deciding that I would have to have the courage to do it now. Like, I would have to have the courage to do what I need to do now, and nothing was going to get in my way. So if you don't know anything about me or my story, I have now been living abroad for over 10 years, and I have built a successful career where I have worked my way up into top international schools. And my journey wasn't always so easy or flawless. I actually started off thinking I knew quite a bit when in reality I was just maybe a 2 out of 10 in terms of skills and knowledge. So I want to just let you know that even if you don't have all the skills now, this is something that doesn't have to take you a long time to figure out. And if you're interested in learning more, we can definitely touch on that topic a bit later. So I definitely want to invite you to start thinking about the questions I'm about to ask you. And I want you to think about, what if your next job was there already? Like, what if it existed? What if it was available and you just didn't know? And what if you had somebody who is waiting to hire somebody just like you, who has all the skills, all the knowledge, all the experiences that you possess? What if they're looking for someone just like you? And what if you were connected in the right networks with somebody who needed your expertise? Like, I want to invite you to bring that vision closer to you, because right now you may feel like all of this is super distant. You might be feeling like unhappy in your job, or maybe you haven't had a job in a while, or you had a career gap, or maybe you're changing careers. I know it can feel like this is very distant, but I know that also things don't have to take a lot of time. So for those of you, like I said, that don't know me, my name is Katrina Marie, and I help career changers become international college counselors and get hired in international schools. And the 10 lessons that I've learned for getting hired in premium international schools are going to be the following, and I'm going to share some stories and some pieces of wisdom along the way. So let's just jump straight into it. Number 1, job opportunities can come from anywhere and at any time, and we are always taken care of. Like, we are really always taken care of. Like, the divine God, whoever you follow, they know exactly what you need, and they're always going to provide for you. I mean, think about it. There were probably times in your life where you probably didn't have, certain things that you absolutely were desiring or needed. And some way, somehow, at the last moment, the 11th hour, it came through. The thing you needed to get through, the thing you were going through, came through. I mean, you could probably recount so many lived experiences, and I know that happened for me time and time again. So job experiences can come anywhere, anytime. And what I mean by that is, I remember literally standing in my friend's kitchen, and there was a Facebook notification that popped up in a Facebook group that I was a part of for a counseling vacancy. And in that moment, I just happened to have the alert pop up on my phone, and it asked if anybody wanted to jump ship and join the counseling department at what is now my current school. It was at a time where I was getting laid off because of restructuring purposes, and I didn't have any leads. I didn't know where to look or how to look. I was just kind of like lost. I didn't have anything, but I was just happened to be in this Facebook group by the grace of God, and I felt like that was where I was being taken care of, because it came out of nowhere. It wasn't through an online portal, a job application. It wasn't anything. It was just my needs being taken care of, and it came at the right time, and a time I didn't expect it. I was just standing at my friend's house in the middle of an afternoon on a weekend, and it came through to me. So I just want to remind you that although we're taught that you need to do things the traditional way, opportunities come from anywhere at any time, and your needs are always taken care of. All right, number 2. Years of experience don't mean shit, okay? Sorry for the language. Actually, not sorry, but they really don't mean what you think it means. So, although many jobs like to set a certain standard of knowledge, it really comes down to your confidence in what you already know. And what you already know can be articulated super confidently in your resume, in your cover letter, in your interview, all these things. And like I said, when I first came into the international world, I definitely didn't have all the skill sets that I had today. And in order for me to get my current job, I certainly didn't have all the skill sets I needed in order to get my job. And so I say this to say that I didn't have it all together, and nobody's expecting you to either. We are changing jobs so we can grow, so that we can learn more, so that we can try different ways in our practices. We're never going to have 10 out of 10, 100% out of the skills that they're looking for. There's always going to be room for growth. And so there's always going to be that line manager or that hiring manager who's going to give you a chance and see potential in you. So when people say, oh, you need years of experience and all this credentials and all of this and blah, 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 I don't even pay attention to that anymore, because I've been given chances time and time again when I didn't have all of the years of experience. So that's number 2. Number 3 is you need to be a part of professional organizations. That is a myth. So I didn't get my job opportunities by being in professional organizations or networking groups, to be very honest with you. I got my jobs from, like I said, from maybe my small efforts or me looking in different places. And so I feel like when people say this, it's kind of like it can help you 100%. I'm not downplaying that, but that is not always the case. This is a myth, if anything, that you need to be part of professional organizations. Now, on the flip side, I am giving you that piece of advice and that wisdom to put yourself in positions to be a part of professional organizations. And that's exactly what I teach you in my program, where to find these resources, how to find them quickly, so that you could be plugged in and connected and know what jobs are coming up, talking with the right circles, and knowing if somebody's going to jump ship before the job is even posted, okay? You don't need these things. However, it can help you with a slight advantage. I remember many years ago, my mentor in graduate school, she was just a year older than me, and she told me, conferences are a load of crock and they're just people schmoozing. And I was like, okay, I had never gone to a conference. Conferences intimidated me. Networking intimidated me. It was just not my thing. And so I was immediately turned off, and I just thought to myself, oh, I don't want to get involved with conferences. And then time passed, and I realized that there were some opportunities that were slipping away because I was not a part of certain situations or organizations. And so I started to elevate and put myself out there. And there were opportunities for me to learn about jobs that were coming on the market or opportunities that were arising in advance. So do you need to be a part of it? Absolutely not. Can you find jobs without it? Absolutely. But should you be a part of it? It can help. So take advantage of professional organizations, especially in the field that you're looking at, to help you elevate your career and get you potentially better qualifying jobs. Number 4, embody what you preach. So many times there are so many counselors out there who just regurgitate a bunch of information, and then they just don't practice what they preach. They tell their students, you need to take care of yourself. It's the college application process. It's stressful. I need you to take care of yourself and get sleep and pace things out. But then the professional themselves, the practitioner themselves, is not taking care of themselves. They're stressed, they're overworking, they might be overeating, they're getting triggered, they're probably taking sick days, and they're not practicing what they preach to their students. So they're preaching well-being during the college application process, but the practitioner, the counselor themselves, is not taking care of themselves during a high-stress time. So as a confident counselor, you really need to embody what you preach. It's super important. All right? Number 5, your intuition never fails you. And it will tell you if a job is a good fit for you immediately. So many times I was relentlessly applying for jobs in desperation because I needed to make money. And there were times where I just knew, looking at the job description, it was this is just not the job for me, but I'm going to apply anyway. And there were many times when I knew instantly that that was my job. That's for me. That is mine. And I just knew, and I got the job. And that was in all the different past work experiences, including my current and recent work experiences. I just always had this intuitive knowing that a job was a good fit or not for me. And I need you to start thinking and tapping into that when you're looking at job descriptions, when you're looking at opportunities. Your intuition is going to know from the get-go. And if you are operating from that place of scarcity and fear because you just need to make money, that can hinder your intuition and decision-making process. And of course, when we dip into survival mode, all we see is our brain just in overdrive, and we're just in desperation, just like feast or famine mode. Like, okay, if opportunities are showing up, we don't know how to pick the right one. And if no opportunities are showing up, we're just sending out resumes and being a keyboard warrior and typing away. So our brain needs time, and our intuition needs time to digest all of the opportunities that are a good fit for us, and it will know pretty quickly. So in my program, The Confident Counselor, I teach you how to do that. And this is a 2-month program where we dive in, and I have a very clear method of helping you understand what it takes to get hired in top premium international schools around the world. Moving to number 6, a no is not a bad thing. It's just redirecting you to where you are or where you are better suited to be. So what I love about a no is that we can make it to a second or even a third interview and still be told no. There is no stability in a job. There is no stability in anything. The only stability comes from ourselves, and that is something that you need to understand, is that a no from a job or a prospective employer, even though we think we really want it, it's just telling you and redirecting you where you're going to be better aligned. And this is something that I've noticed time and time again. I remember I had an interview with a university in California before I moved abroad, and I made it to the 3rd interview round. And I just knew it was not intuitively aligned, but I was so desperate that I was like really ready to take anything. And even though I made it to the 3rd interview, and most people were like, wow, you made it to the 3rd interview, you're gonna be like hired, it's yours. But they still told me no. And it redirected me and reminded me that although I'm amazing at what I can offer, this is not your job. Like, this is not meant for you. So get back on your track, get back on your path, and go for what you really want. Make that decision and don't look back. All right? So this is just your gentle reminder. You're kicking the bum. Like, a no is not a bad thing. It's just redirecting you on the path that you actually are desiring to be on. All right? Number 7, no one ever asks me how many degrees or certifications I hold. Like, nobody ever cares or asks me that. And certainly not my students. My students don't walk into my office when they have an appointment and say, Miss, I just wanted to know, like, how many degrees and how many trainings and professional developments you've been on in the last year or the last 6 months. Are you up to date on this and up to date on that? Like, they're not asking me these questions, you guys. Like, they don't care. They just care about their circumstance and how I can help them. They're not asking me, like, how many degrees and certifications I have. And this is what drives me mad, is people think the more certifications and more awards and more this and more that is going to get you the job. And I always say, like, look, like, let's turn it back on the student. So if we were advising a student and the student's like, I need you to send all my letters of recommendation, and then I have like 5 more letters of recommendation, one from an internship, one from a research project, one from a coach, one from a family member. Like, we don't send those extra things. Like, we are only sending the things that the university is asking. Similar to you as a professional, you need to only be confident and certain in the few things that are being asked of you. You don't need all of these extra things to add on and say, I have all these extra things. Like, no, let that come out confidently. Let them come out and shine in your interview, in your application, when you work with the students, when you work with families. You don't need to brag about all these things. If anything, people are going to be turned off by that, because it's like, what are you trying to make up for? What are you trying to overcompensate for? Okay, like, good for you. You do you. Like, that's kind of the vibe that you give. Like, nobody wants a know-it-all. Nobody wants that. People get annoyed by that. So nobody has ever asked me how many degrees or certifications I had. And if anything, your confidence comes from your certainty within yourself, like I've already mentioned. And if they do care, I guide students with accurate information with my confidence. So really, it comes back to the whole confidence thing and being certain in yourself. Number 8, job stability doesn't come from external things, which I've already kind of touched on. It comes from within yourself. And I actually written a post on this on LinkedIn, because our happiness shouldn't come from our title. Our happiness shouldn't come from the school we work at. Our happiness shouldn't come from the university we graduated from or the degrees we've achieved. or the certifications we've earned. No. Like, imagine if all of that was taken away from you. Imagine if you didn't have access to any of those things. Where would your happiness and stability actually come from? It would have to come from something internal, something that we can't tangibly touch. It has to be within you. And so in the program, we do talk about mindset work, and we do talk about strategy and all the things that you need to know in order to get hired. But really, it comes from your certainty within yourself to be able to make decisions, to be able to navigate difficult situations and deal with the duality of positive things happening while negative things are happening. And sometimes we don't like that. And I'm going to jump into how this ties into number 9. Number 9 is we need to let go of the idea that we have to control everything, because control is actually very restrictive to our lives. And again, it goes back to that stability of like letting things go and trusting God and trusting that things are going to work out exactly in the right time. I need it because God never fails. All of my needs are always met. And I'm telling you this because this has happened for me time and time again, you guys. So I need you to understand that letting go of the idea that you have to control every little outcome of your career search, of your resume, being perfect, that's not going to get you the job. What's going to get you the job is trusting that you are always upgrading, which leads me to number 10. You're always incrementally upgrading in your life. Think about when you were probably a teenager and you had a part-time job, and that part-time job paid you $400 a month. Well, I'm sure hopefully 10 to 15 years later, you're probably making $4,000 a month. That is an incremental upgrade, right? Like, you've went from $400 a month to $4,000 a month. And how did you get there? Through small incremental upgrades, because you had to go through different experiences to slowly upgrade or progressively upgrade your life depending on your circumstances. So these are my 10 things that I wanted to talk to you about today that really helped me get hired in international schools and upgrade my life and my thinking. And I felt like this was a very important and timely message, because right now we're getting into the recruitment season, especially for international schools in the international education world. And if you're somebody who is looking for a little bit extra support of a mentor who knows exactly, who's been in your shoes, who knows exactly what it's like to get 3 no's in a row and apply to hundreds of jobs without getting a single email back or acknowledgement, who knows exactly what it's like to not know where to look for resources or how to network effectively and land better qualified jobs. And you know without a doubt, without any doubt in your mind, that you can help students, and you have even just the slightest experience working with students or families, whether it's in a classroom setting or in a more casual capacity, or you've been working with families and students for a longer time and you just want a little bit of extra support, then I want to invite you to apply for my Confident Counselor program, where it is a 2-month experience. We have 8 calls throughout the 2 months. But if you pay in full, I'm going to offer 2 bonus calls. So if you are interested, I'd love for you to apply and be a part of my world. And let me tell you, those that have worked with me have certainly reaped the benefits, because not only have they learned the skill sets of the strategy and the skills, they've also upgraded their mindset, and the endless possibilities that are coming their way now is like mind-blowing, you guys. So if you are looking to be a part of my world and join me, then get in touch. I'm going to leave all of my details below in the show notes. And thank you so much for joining into today's episode. And I promise I'm not going to let it linger for 6 months again before we have a new episode. So much love, and I'll see you all soon.